390 Wagon Master here. Today in this video we're going to take a look at the President Washington second generation Washington. This is the 100-watt model. I'm going to go with Gen 1 being the 80-watt model, and that model has just been discontinued. I think they stopped producing that, I want to say somewhere around May of 2026, and this new version should be out, I believe, second or third week of July. So yeah, pretty interesting. So it looks exactly like the first gen Washington, exact same size, the chassis is exactly the same, everything is exactly the same. Same thing with the front panel layout. Front panel layout's exactly the same. I'll put a picture up here showing both of them turned on together. So if you already have a Washington or even a George and you want to upgrade to the higher output model, this is all going to be absolutely totally familiar. And you know, I've liked the President Washington, the 80-watt model, and I use that actually on 10-meter repeaters because these things are super easy to set up for 10-meter repeaters. Probably one of my favorite 10-meter repeater radios. You put the fan kit on the back, you get a high duty cycle, quite the high duty cycle actually. Those fans do a good job of keeping it cooled down. Speaking of fans, this model does not come with any fans, so you're going to have to add your own. And I'm not sure if they're available right now. I know that as far as inventory goes, they're kind of in and out with President. But I did a video, actually I've done 2 videos on adding fans to the Gen 1 Washington. And you can get them aftermarket on Amazon, and I'll leave links to that down below. And then I think I can leave a link to the OEM fans as well. They're both a good way to go. I don't really see anything wrong with using the aftermarket fans, except you have to fiddle around a little bit with the that little micro power plug, but that's all right. I show how to do that in that video. Anyway, that being said, this radio basically, other than one feature that I have found, is exactly the same as the first gen. So there's not really much of a difference between the Gen 1 and Gen 2 radios. And I was really hoping there would be. The original 80-watt version has a couple of little quirks that I think I'll show you with this radio, but I was really hoping that they would get those worked out, and they did not. Bummer deal. As far as like I said, the chassis, the layout, all the cosmetics, they're exactly the same. The interior, the boards, the PC boards, the insides look exactly the same. The component layouts, pretty much exactly the same, trace for trace, component for component. The Gen 1 has an IRF 520 driving 3. This one has exactly the same setup, one IRF 520 driving 3. I was expecting to see some big major improvement for that extra 20 watts to maybe deal with the duty cycle. I need to get my magnifying glass out and maybe check out some of the components, because even though the layout's pretty much exactly the same, there is the board numbers are different, so this has been revised, I'm going to assume. So they did something in the PA circuit, power amplifier circuit, that gave us that extra wattage. Now, that being said, this radio, as you'll see here in a minute, will hit about 95 watts to 100 PEP on single sideband right out of the box. Now, the first gen, again, that's rated at 80 watts, and I was only getting about 70 out of it, and I had to bite into the service menu, the test menu, I guess some people call it, to get that extra power, and it just, you know, squeaks. Gosh, I think that was about 80 or 85 watts. I'll do a head-to-head comparison here, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at this. So that being said, this just does 100 out of the box. So obviously, if you want to get into it, you can bite into the service menu. I am not permitted to give out that type of information, so you're going to have to go on the internet and find your information that way. Let me just recommend going to simonthewizard.com. Those guys are over there in Hungary, Budapest, I believe, close to that area. And those guys are farther along in this kind of stuff than I am. And, believe it or not, those guys over in Europe, man, they really get into hacking these radios. And I'll tell you what, they do a pretty darn good job. There's a lot of good information to get on Simon's website. So anyway, check that out. So here's a couple of my pet peeves with this. The audio amplifier, not the modulation, not the transmit, not the CB portion, but the audio amplifier, the amplifier that actually powers the internal or external speaker, in my opinion, is still really low. Now, it's funny with these new radios. You turn the volume like all the way down, right? And then you just go up 1 or 2 clicks and it's like full blast. Like I've got that Luton on the bench over there, and that thing just goes from 0 to 1,000 in 1 click. And this one here, to get that kind of volume, you've got to get up, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. But then by about the time you get it up to maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, to get some volume out of it, it has a little distortion to it, and that's not so bad in the house or on the base station, but in the vehicle, if you have a loud vehicle like I do, I got a V8 with a Flowmaster, and you got to kind of turn up the radio to hear anything. And I would have liked to have seen that issue taken care of. As far as all the other operations on it, I'm very happy with it. I love this setup. I don't think there's anything wrong with this setup at all. They still have the issue with the AGC being too fast and being a little choppy. As you may or may not know, I'm in a high noise environment here. I live just a couple hundred feet from a 65, 70-year-old substation, and I get a lot of noise here, above ground power lines and whatnot, so that always puts my receivers to the test, and that's really what it's all about with me, is the receiver. What good is having a radio with killer output if you can't hear who you're trying to talk to, right? I mean, in my opinion, that's a huge thing. So I found out here last year or so with the first gen radio, this is how I deal with it. So we're going to push and hold RF gain. I have a mic over here by the radio. So here's what we've got. It goes from 0 to 10. And you see how that's flickering around like that, how choppy that is. So what that is, basically what that is that's the noise blanker trying to take out the noise and do its job, which it does very well, but it has a fight with the receiver, and they're kind of going back and forth, and you get that choppy sound. I mean, that's probably the best way I could describe that in layman's terms. So again, I'll just demonstrate that real quick. We're going to push and hold. We go into that. I like the menu on this. Super easy to learn. So for the most part, I run this radio between 4 and 6 on the RF gain. This is a very sensitive receiver. One thing I noticed out at camp last year was if you have this on like a really low gain antenna, you want to use this as like a Parks on the Air station on 10 meters or 12 meters or something, or just a DX station and you're under battery power and you have a, on a dipole or something, some sort of an antenna with not much gain. The extra gain, or the high amount of gain that this radio has, that does come in handy. So let's go back here. But here's the deal. As you get up to about 6 or 7, now it starts getting choppy again. And of course, the higher you go, the worse it gets, right? So instead of looking at the meter for signal strength and all that, I've just kind of adapted. I just don't really pay attention to it. I kind of tune this RF gain by ear. So tonight I'm a 4, other nights I'm a 5. Once in a great while on a snowy or rainy night, nice quiet night, I can do a 6. So that kind of drives me nuts. So the volume, the RF gain, I'm trying to think, is there anything else really? No, all the user functions, I like the NRC, the noise reduction circuitry in the Washington. Now I know there's some other brands that are out right now that are trying to improve on that, and they're doing like an AI version, and in my opinion that's hype, but and they're really horrifying to listen to. They're just terrible to listen to. Again, this is all subjective. This is IMHO in my humble opinion, right? So I don't like that, and I really do like the president kind of left that alone. Everything is nice and smooth with the NRC. I run the NRC on receive at about a 3. That seems to work just fine for me. Sometimes maybe I'll back it down to a 2. If it gets over 3, you get like 4 or 5, it's too aggressive. And sounds like you're listening to somebody in a hollow tube that's laying in a swimming pool. I don't know. It's a really weird it's a really weird DSP sound. It's really hard to explain, but you guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about for sure. The Vox works great in this. I like the receive and transmit clarifier control. I don't use echo. Talkback works fine in here. I'm not a big talkback fan actually, and this is kind of a nice mellow talkback. Of course, we have our mode switch here. Memories for program. You can program X amount of channels. Honestly, I don't use that. Important thing is though, CTCSS and DCS. This is tone encoding, so you can get into 10-meter repeaters. Which again, this is where this radio is like, it's one of my favorites. Just a dedicated 10-meter repeater radio. This is scan, and of course this has scan skip, so you can take various channels out that keep popping up. Maybe if you have some birdies in your area or just some annoying operators, you can, omit that channel from the scan cycle. So I like that feature. It's pretty cool. I don't use scan very much, but I do actually use the scan skip scan feature. And of course the bands here, this radio again will cover from 12 all the way to the top end of 10 meters. So that is pretty cool. And the clarifier, and on this radio, it's kind of a wide filtered radio. You don't really use the clarifier all that much on this radio. It's very giving. I like that. One thing I noticed, the encoder for the channel selector here seems to be better than the Gen 1. And I don't know if that's just because maybe I have a first run of the Gen 1s or not, but I like the feel of it. The volume knob, everything, basically everything feels the same. And again, the inside is basically the same. So I'm going to have to get with my contact and really see what they did to upgrade this. I don't know if it's a software upgrade, firmware, I don't know, somethingware upgrade. But as far as components go, I didn't really see a difference. And they did not just, rubber stamp the old PC board and do this and then raise the retail value up whatever it was, like $80 or $90. Now that being said, this is kind of a spendy radio. However, you're getting a good quality radio. This is no schlepping radio here. This is a nice rig. It's got a great feel to it, and it's just been really super dependable. These little quirks that are going on with this and the first gen, you can easily take care of this. I actually use a powered Bluetooth speaker on that, and I like that a lot better. And for 2 reasons: the extra volume in the truck, and just better audio quality. Good external speaker will help any CB radio, amateur radio. So anyway, yeah, overall those are, that's just kind of my quick overview, I guess you could say. As I bite into this a little bit more, I'll tell you if I found any other little quirks or any quirks that were fixed. I did find that they added one option to the menu and I like it actually. They added a setting here where you can lock out the up down key lock, and I don't believe that's in the other Washington. In fact, I'm sure it's not. This is something that is nice to have, because if you're in the mobile and you're fidgeting around, come on, did you might get in focus? You got your up down buttons and everything. It is nice to be able to lock those buttons. Sometimes I get kind of handsy, and every once in a while I'll end up dialing up a channel or two. So yeah, that's about it, which leads me to believe that that's where the increase in power is. This circuitry must be a little bit more efficient. They must have done some tuning on the PA, the power amplifier. And I believe also that this radio does not generate as much heat as the other one did. Now, again, you're going to probably want the fans on there if you're long-winded like I am. But I do believe that this actually runs a bit cooler. So, yeah, I'm going to put it through its paces, and we'll see what's going on. I'm going to take another little vacation, so I'm going to be a week or two behind on everything, but when I get back, I'll have some more information on this and maybe some more runtime. Anyway, you guys, please leave questions or comments down below. I know what everybody's going to say. 20 watts isn't going to make a difference, yada, yada, yada. You know, for the extra $90 or whatever, because the discontinued model I think is going around $299, and I believe this is around, I want to say $389, which is about the same price as the Gen 1 when it came out. I believe it was right in that area too, somewhere, give or take a few bucks. So you're getting whatever new updates, you're getting just an easy 100 watts out of the box here with this one, not even you know, having it played with or anything. So yeah, I mean, it's still a good performing rig. So there you go. Choices are a good thing, right? All right, thanks for watching. All right, let's do a little bonus footage. We're going to take some RF power measurements. This radio has basically a high, medium, and low setting. Low setting is roughly 4 watts. Nothing really goes over 4 watts in any mode. I'll show you that in a more detailed video down the road, but to save time, we're going to test this in the high position. By the way, the middle position is like right around the 10 watt range. Okay, so anyway, we're going to do our quick test here in the high setting, and we're going to see what's happening. So I'm going to go to AM. All right, we're going to give it a dead key, and we have about 22 watts, but my mic is over here, and I'm behind the camera, and I see that thing twitching a little bit. So hello, 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 hello. We're RMSing about a full 2 watts. It's not reverse modulating. So let's check it in PEP Feel Good watts. This is, again, we're on the bottom scale. We're going to go 20, 40, 60, 80, a Hunsky. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, radio. Just talking normal. We're doing about 80, maybe 90 watts, somewhere in there. 70. But look at this. 1, 2, audio, 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 audio. And I'm not yelling into the thing. Yeah, I'm not eating the microphone. This is just average. Really good. Again, this is box stock. Haven't bit into any of the test menus or adjustments or anything like that. So that's pretty darn impressive. All right. FM. We'll see. Yep, FM 50 watts. Now, there's a lot of videos that I do, and I do test the FM because I'm used to doing that. It's just kind of like what I used to do back in the day. And it's funny because I would say the majority of radios do the same amount of output power on FM as they do AM. But this one bucks that trend. So I got a nice 50 watt dead carrier, and I've hammered down on this for a while. I've gotten this rig pretty darn toasty, and again, like I said earlier, I think this runs slightly cooler. All right, so there you go. There's no modulation on FM, no PEP stuff, none of that stuff. All right. Okay, we're in single sideband. We're in just kind of RMS mode, so just regular, and what I like to basically call average talk power. Hello, hello, audio, 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 audio. So we're going to go 50 to audio, 40 to 50 watts, with an average talk power. in that 20 watt range, 20, 30 watts. So I'm digging that. That's not a problem. Let's put it in PEP Feel Good watts. And here we go. This is where we'll just throw it in the corner pretty much all the time. Audio, 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 audio. And I'm speaking fairly quiet, actually. I do have a lapel mic on. But, hello, audio, audio, 1, 2, 3, 4, audio. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, 100, no problem. So, that was a good upgrade, I believe. I believe that is a pretty darn good upgrade. So, there you go. She's a performing little rig. And I'll tell you what, this is... I'm excited for winter because that's when the 10-meter repeaters come around. And you put a fan kit on this puppy, and you know that's nice to be able to throw down a nice, good 50-watt FM carrier with some decent duty cycle to it. So anyway, there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry about the long videos. I've been putting out a lot of long videos lately for some reason, but I want to try to give you guys as much information as I can. And again, please understand, this is all subjective, right? This is just in my opinion. I'm not a technician. I'm just simply a hobbyist. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.